Hello everyone and welcome to another News Coolum video. I'm not going to take too much time here. To record in the car, I'm probably going to need to have the AC blasting. It's a nice, pleasant, balmy 106 degrees in Red Bluff right now. I'm sure it's 106 in Redding too. But there's been a few updates. I think a couple of people have posted about it. I think Ben's Eco Adventure posted a short, and then I think Walter posted something about this as well on the Network Architect channel. If I can, I'll try to put the links to the videos in the description. But GM is sort of expanding their app for plug-in charge, right? And one of the ones that they've added is ChargePoint. So, and it's not just the Ultium EVs. Apparently that GM Energy app is supposed to work with the Bolt EV2. I think Ben's Eco Adventure got it to work with his Bolt on a ChargePoint. And they say select ChargePoint, and we're not really sure what those parameters mean. But I happened to be in Red Bluff, just catching a movie, and I'm gonna grab some cat food and do some shopping. I wanted to test it out because I remembered Mercedes-Benz High Power Charging, the back end is ChargePoint, right? So I think I have my ChargePoint card here as well, but in theory, I've activated it in the app. In theory, this should activate on its own plug-in charge, unless it's not one of those. So I don't really need to charge. Maybe I kind of do actually. I used 45 kilowatt hours getting here. I'll probably use that much more getting back home again. But again, like I said, it's hot right now. So I'm going to try to blast the AC a little bit, but also just check to see if plug-in charge is working. So let's go check it out. All right, so we're here, and I'm going to go ahead and see if it works because again, there's also the possibility of doing a ChargePoint. So let's go ahead and plug in. And one of the nice things again about Mercedes, no adapter, it is so much more convenient. Somehow or another, someone wrapped the CCS inside the NACS plug. I'm not sure why that worked that way. And actually they put the NACS plug on the side that I'm using. They put the NACS plug on the armature, so that one actually should be easier. So depending on which side you pull in, if you're in a Tesla, it will actually be easier to use the NACS, I think, on the side that I'm using. So, but Bolt EV, easy charge port here, super light cables. I don't know if you're seeing this, but oh my goodness, anybody could use this. Great job, Mercedes. Super light. All right, and then just plugging in. So in theory, what I've seen is they're saying, hey, look, it will automatically start. So hopefully, let's see. I don't know that it is. It's got a 230-second timeout. This could mean what they're talking about, where, like I said, because this is ChargePoint app, it looks like maybe plug-in charge is not authorized on this. So if you do have plug-in charge, now I'm going to say this pending because I have not had a chance to test out plug-in charge on my Bolt EV after activating it on a regular ChargePoint, so I might try that soon. It's not activating based on communication right now. So this could be a limitation to where it's ChargePoint equipment, at which point, if you happen to still have a Mercedes-Benz High Power Charging that is using the ChargePoint, like the ChargePoint Express, then at that point, it should charge automatically. So this is not a reliability issue or anything like that. I think this is purely just a functional issue right now, a constraint related to maybe the hardware. So again, TBD, like I said, I have not yet been able to test out a ChargePoint hardware. I'll try to rack my brain to remember. Actually, there's some ChargePoint. What am I thinking about? I'm in Red Bluff. There's a ChargePoint unit just down the street. So I might test that in a second, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and just let the AC run and cool off the car a bit. But unfortunately, it looks like plug-in charge does not work here. So I'm gonna see if I can maybe just run over to the ChargePoint and then validate it there after this. All right, so one of the things while we're here, and this, I'm not gonna say I called this shot, but it's definitely something that I think the industry needs to take note of. I think drivers need to take note of, because, well, there's only one Tesla left in this parking lot right now, over there behind my car. And it's not charging, I feel like saying obviously, but there were 2 or 3 other Teslas in this parking lot when I showed up. But what I want you to look at is, look at the disparity in, this is 28,000 kilowatt hours. So what is that, 28 megawatt hours versus 5 megawatt hours for NACS 1B. 16 megawatt hours for 2A, that's CCS1, and only 2.5 for 2B. So the disparity in the usage, and this is, I mean, with non-Tesla NACS vehicles coming out, but that disparity in usage is stunning to me. And I think maybe it's something that charging providers need to keep in mind, the ones who seem to be over prioritizing NACS connectors. And then the one I'm using, 19 megawatt hours off of CCS1 and only 3.6 off the complementary or other NACS connector on that side. 26,000 or 26 megawatt hours, 26,000 kilowatt hours off of this CCS1 here, and only 3.4 off of this NACS. So to say that the disparity in usage, right, if I'm looking at those numbers, even a 6 to 8 stall, I can see being, you know, forward thinking. But right now, if I'm a charging provider, given these numbers, unless you're finding a way to compel Tesla owners to come use your charging network, yeah, like I said, even a 6, 8, maybe even a 10 stall, I could not see justifying more than 1 or 2 NACS plugs, because what you're going to end up doing, again, this is a little bit different for Mercedes, because they have all of the standards available for each stall. So no matter what, if the stall is being used, one of these 2 plugs is going to be used. But based on this usage, these NACS plugs are going to outlast these CCS1 plugs by years, right? And so by installing fewer CCS1 and more or NACS, what you end up doing is you're inconveniencing a disproportionate number of your customers, and you're also putting a disproportionate amount of wear on the CCS1 handles versus the NACS handles, right? Because again, this usage actually appears to maybe be just 10 to 1. So you're putting on 10 times as much wear on the CCS1 handles as you are on the NACS handles when they're installed in equivalent numbers, is I guess the way I would look at it. So I would say charging providers maybe use caution in the number of NACS plugs, and then just monitor it and then see, right? If you start to see a shift in the usage from CCS1 to NACS, then maybe consider upping your NACS count. But like I said, at this point, I couldn't see justifying more than 10% of the stalls at any given station being NACS, just based on these numbers alone. At most, if you're even forward looking, no more than 20% of the stations being NACS. Again, unless you do what Mercedes does and just make sure it's exemplary customer experience regardless of what vehicle you're using. But if you are only using one plug per stall, I don't see a justification now for any site to be using more than 20% NACS versus CCS1 unless they can find a way to compel Tesla owners to use that site. Now, it is possible Mercedes branded, Tesla owners just aren't going to be very interested in using this. As more NACS vehicles come out that aren't Tesla, maybe those numbers increase. It's possible that maybe Iona, they can compel more people to use their chargers through lower pricing. This is 55 cents per kilowatt hour, but then again, even the superchargers without a membership here are 55 cents per kilowatt hour. So there's no price disparity. It's just people aren't using, clearly they aren't using this as much as they're using the supercharger that's nearby. So unless of course they're a CCS1 vehicle, in which case they're using this site 10 times more frequently than their NACS counterparts. So just food for thought, but I think I am going to just go ahead and run over, like, I don't know how much longer I'm gonna need to charge here, in order to, make it home. But the fewer stops, the better, just for convenience wise. And then of course, I'm picking up pet food so I can get home and feed the babies who are probably waiting for their food. So yeah, overall though, great experience, Mercedes. I've got no complaints. Plug and charge doesn't work here based on the ChargePoint, but I'm about to check to see if it works on a standard ChargePoint unit. Let's hit the road. Yep. Oh, I forgot. And this is how you know it's ChargePoint. You've got to authenticate to stop the session, which is great because it means someone can't disconnect you prematurely. So you've got to own it. So there we go. We added just under 12 kilowatt hours. So let's hop on the freeway. All right. Well, it's crept up to 107. They didn't warn you about Northern California, but yeah, here we are at the old trusty ChargePoint station. They even have the level 2 still installed there, which is great. But this is to check and confirm whether ChargePoint units themselves have actually activated my plug-in charge. This is basically more of a control just to make sure, because like I said, the Mercedes-Benz units didn't work for me, but that could be because of the Alpitronic hardware. Here, let me make sure this stays on. So I do still have my card on me, but I'm just gonna go ahead and plug in first just to see. Unit looks like it's available. These ones don't get as much use because they're the 62 kilowatt units, which, makes sense. People don't use these as much because they're slower. They really are meant for the hotel motel guests. So I'm gonna go ahead and plug in. No card was used in the activation of this session. Now it already shows in use, but I think that's standard even when you don't activate it. Now it's waiting for EV. This does look like it's getting the signal to activate without and charging. So there you go, plug and charge, no card used. Now I'm going to need to check to see whether I need to use my card to end the session, because if I do, then that's going to be a little bit less convenient than pure plug and charge. And I think there's discussion, right, that I think with level 2 AC, it still doesn't use plug and charge, so you actually do have to use the RFID. And these, oh man, I don't know, this acrylic, I get ChargePoint is protecting the screens behind it, but I definitely feel like they need a better solution. And then of course here, this is showing all the old markings for the West Coast Electric Highway. Just more of a, you can see how old and faded this sign is, right? Just more of a sort of an educational point. But for a very long time, this I-5 corridor has actually been covered. I say a very long time. ChargePoint was the first non-Tesla, at least in terms of CCS1, to cover I-5 between Sacramento and Los Angeles. And I think that was now 6-7 years ago. And a lot of the stations have gotten older, or, you know, these 62 kilowatt stations just really don't meet the needs of modern EVs. Like I said, this is more of, hey, you're at a hotel motel, there's like a sit-down restaurant over there, I think Rock and Roll Cafe or something like that. There's a McDonald's over here. There's local businesses. So this is one of those things about the EV, you know, travel charging experience is a lot of times, you know, there is a dog park over there, but it's for hotel guests only. Just something to keep in mind. But with EV traveling, I think what a lot of people forget is there's a convenience just in being able to do something else while you're refueling, right? So you can say, yeah, a gas car only takes 3 to 5 minutes to fill up and drive another 300, 400 miles. But who's going to drive 800 miles on only a 5-minute stop? It's just not realistic or healthy for someone to do. Even just having the option for it is not all that compelling for a lot of people. And then here, actually, this is just a switchgear now. I'll see if I can wrangle up the old footage, but I believe this location used to have a grid-tied battery that has since been removed. So I don't know, maybe at some point ChargePoint might want to update this site, because like I said, even though it's a hotel motel, this is something where if you check into your room, you plug in, maybe you're awake for a couple of hours, you charge your big modern EV to full and then go to sleep. But like this station, I think, would benefit from being expanded to something like a ChargePoint Express, right? Like split power, 400, 500 kilowatt, maybe 4 stalls, just 2 units or something like that. It would definitely be a boon for ChargePoint. But in the meantime, you know, this is one of those things I keep saying about a 10+ year old EV. It just keeps getting better, right? This is a plug-in charge now on the 2nd network, and I'm just, you know, chatting into the camera here for now, but I'm going to ask maybe some of the viewers if they are aware, because in the GM app, it shows that EV Connect is also authorized for plug-in charge, but I can't get into my EV Connect app because, well, I don't remember the password, and it's supposed to have sent me a password update 3 days ago, and I still haven't heard from them. So I don't know what's going on with the EV Connect, but I think as it is, we're at 60%. I don't know. I guess if worst comes to worst, I could stop to charge again. I'm just trying to figure out if I need to stay here that much longer. I'll say this. I'm going to get back in the car and enjoy the air conditioning for a minute before I head over to Walmart and pick up the pet food. But this will probably be the end of the trip, and I'll just close out by seeing how the session ends, if I can just end it because it's plug-in charge, or if I need to use my card, because I didn't need my card to activate. All right, so what have we learned today, kids? And I do apologize. I've been meaning to make more videos, and I'm still actually recovering. I've had bronchitis. I normally get over it in about 2 weeks. I was not able to get over this quickly, and even as I was starting to feel better, I still had symptoms, and I'm thinking, if I don't have to be running around in public spreading my cooties, then, you know, maybe I'll take one for the team and just sort of relax at home with the kiddies and just take my time recovering. So I am feeling better, still a little bit congested, but the road trips are going to be coming in greater and more frequency, greater in amplitude and frequency. How's that for all my science nerds? For all my science nerds out there. But what have we learned today? We've learned that yes, the ChargePoint plug-in charge activation through the GM Energy works, even on my 2017 Chevrolet Bolt EV. Just proved it on an older ChargePoint unit. But it does also appear that it does not work on, just because it's ChargePoint back end. So it's something like a Mercedes-Benz High Power Charging network. It doesn't look like it's working, but that also might just be a hardware issue. So perhaps it does work on the Express Plus units if they're out somewhere, or the Express units, but it won't be working on the HYC 400 Alpitronics. So at least for now, so this is all sort of pending confirmation, and then I'll just keep you updated in terms of my experience with ChargePoint and how this plug-in charge is working. EVgo has been flawless since it activated, and then like I said, I just need to figure out how to get my EV Connect app up and running, because or account up and running. I haven't been able to even get into my account, and it doesn't look like there's a portal through the website, and they're not sending me my updated password change information. So I don't know what's going on with the EV Connect. I might just need to create a brand new account, which is a pain, but I'll do that. And then the other big takeaway from this is, again, just a data point, but it appears that at least on that Mercedes-Benz High Power Charging, CCS1 plugs are being used about 10 times more frequently than the NACS plugs, and that's a good control because Mercedes put in both standards on every stall. So there's no adapter required. There's not going to be any fudging of the numbers. That's going to be a very pure data point that right now, at least for a non-Tesla network, we're seeing about 10 times the usage for CCS1 as what we're seeing for NACS. And then I guess the final bit for this before I close out and head home is I just need to see, I'll check the deactivation status and see if I need my card, or if it will just shut down on its own. So let's turn this AC back on again. I try to do it for the wind noise, but and then the sacrifices I make, and then we'll just see if it closes out, if I can just unplug or end the session, and if I can, then great. But as it is, hope you all enjoyed it, and thank you for watching. Let's go shut this station down. Whew. Whew. Oh, sweet manna from heaven. Oh man, I don't normally get behind defacing equipment, but this is kind of cool. I think you should embrace it, ChargePoint. Grab yourself a cup of tea while you charge your life. See if we can see through this acrylic. So I don't want to use my card. Oh, this is cool. So they're giving a little bit more. All right, so I didn't need to use my card. Sweet. So let's go ahead and unplug. Oh, that handle is hot. And ironically, whew, hot tomato. Ironically, it's less powerful than the Mercedes-Benz, but a heavier cable. So just something else to keep in mind. But so this is a completely cardless charge experience at ChargePoint. So there you go. All right, everyone, time to hit the road. Riding shotgun in the hot sun. Gonna be someone.